He got a first-hand view of people not following this law. For several days, ABC 17 sent cameras on board Columbia fire trucks as they responded to calls. Tonight in this special report, ABC 17's Christy Reeder shows the dangers caused by these disobeying drivers and why they aren't moving over.
On average, Columbia firefighters respond to more than one call every hour. Their average response time is just over 7 minutes from the time the 911 call is received. They're always looking to cut that time down. While firefighters have their routes mapped for across the city, they can't always account for traffic and how drivers will respond. You're going to see how difficult that can be from the footage we got off these GoPro cameras we put on these trucks. It's already a stressful job. Racing to the scene of an emergency. Drivers of these big fire trucks have to navigate tight turns, traffic, and you.
These cars are still moving. They should have really slowed and stopped.
For 3 days, our cameras were rolling with the firefighters from Station 1 in downtown Columbia and Station 2 on West Worley. We caught a lot. We saw firefighters pulling up to the scene of a fire, smoke pouring from a home, and the issues they have to deal with on the way to calls like this. From a pedestrian trying to cross the street in front of a blaring truck to an intersection where drivers headed the opposite way were in the way. One car didn't even pull over for a couple of blocks, even as firefighters arrived at the destination. And keep in mind, in all these instances, the lights and sirens were on.
How often would you say it happens where a vehicle doesn't notice you're there for a while?
Pretty often, actually.
One reason emergency officials say maybe to blame for people not pulling over is that they simply can't hear the sirens. This day and age, cars are made better to block out the sound. That, combined with other distractions like the radio, can make it hard to hear the sirens. We even used a decibel meter to see the difference being in a car can make. It read around 120 outside, inside the car around 80. And there's another factor: people may not be pulling over.
Certainly a lot of people don't know what to do. They'll, for example, want to pull to the left. They just want to get out of the way. There may be a little bit of panic that sets in.
I went out to quiz drivers to see if they know what to do in an emergency situation.
What would you do if you were at a red light and an emergency vehicle was coming up right behind you?
I've never been in that situation before. Probably, I don't know.
If you're at a busy intersection and you're in the middle of two cars and you have nowhere to pull over, you don't have to.
Like this example on College, the fire truck just went around into the opposite lane. Next question.
If you are coming down, a road like this, and they're not behind you, they're actually in the other lane, headed the other direction, do you still pull over?
You don't need to.
Wrong. Frazier says always yield to the right no matter which way the truck is coming. This gives the driver of the fire truck more room to pass traffic. Another question that trips some people up: what do you do if you're at an intersection and the light is green?
Your inclination is to stop, and you should most of the time when an emergency vehicle is approaching. However, if you're in an intersection and the light is green, you have the right of way, and you're moving to get out of the way will allow that vehicle to pass, then you need to do that. So it's really kind of a judgment call.
This problem isn't just limited to Columbia. Checking in with firefighters in Jefferson City, they deal with it every day as well. Also, law enforcement faces the same issue. We told you it's the law to pull over, and drivers can be ticketed, but issuing those tickets can be difficult.
Usually because of the priority nature of the incident, they're not really able to pull over the offending vehicle and address that issue right then and there. So it becomes very difficult to come back later and try and find that vehicle and the driver.
In some cases, emergency responders will take down a license plate, and after an emergency is dealt with, a ticket can be issued. Last year, Columbia Police issued 7 city charge citations for this issue and 10 state charge citations. Stats on crashes involving emergency vehicles were hard to find. I did come across this table from FEMA. Looking at firefighter injuries and non-fatal vehicular incidents, a large number were caused during a crash with a civilian vehicle. With the problem of people not pulling over so prevalent, the drivers of emergency vehicles have to stay on their toes.
We don't want anyone to do anything unsafe. It is really up to the driver of the emergency vehicle and finding safe alternate routes around traffic.
One suggestion fire officials have for drivers is cracking a window slightly to better hear sirens, especially in congested areas like downtown. Just one way to better hear those rushing to save lives.
There have been recent efforts to strengthen laws to prevent this problem. Even this year, there's a proposal in the Senate that would increase penalties for those who failed to yield the right-of-way in certain instances.